When you become famous at 14, your personality doesn't finish loading. It freezes mid-update. Then the whole world downloads you before you even know who you is. Billie Eilish didn't just grow up in public. She split in public. Between the person she was, the brand she became, and the ghost hiding behind her own fame. And honestly, that kind of split would make anyone start whisper singing about dyeing their hair and trusting no one. The unfinished self. Imagine being 14. Your world should revolve around acne, algebra, and whether your latest Tumblr post was cringe or iconic. Now, imagine being 14 and famous. Not school play famous, not yearbook superlative famous, Billie Eilish famous. Overnight, she wasn't just a teenager, she was a brand. Baggy clothes, slime green roots, half-lidded stares like she'd been cry-napping for 3 years straight. It looked like a vibe. It was really a shield. She once said, "I didn't want the world to know everything about me." Translation: I didn't feel safe being seen. Psych insight. That's identity foreclosure. When you commit to a fixed identity before you've had time to explore, it's not growth, it's self-preservation. The world hands you a label, and instead of asking if it fits, you just wear it so they'll leave you alone. Most of us at 16 were trying on eyeliner and over-identifying with Lord Lyrics. Billie was fielding paparazzi and fashion contracts, while silently asking herself, is this me, or just what people expect? Because when you build a persona before you build a self, you risk losing the difference. Fame as dissociation. Now picture this. You wake up and don't feel like a person. You feel like an observer. A floating presence watching your own life like a documentary with no pause button. And Billie Eilish, she didn't just visit, she lived there. She said, I used to disassociate all the time and be numb and never present. That's not teenage angst. That's textbook depersonalization. A trauma response where your brain hits pause on reality so you don't shatter under pressure. Now, add fame. Add millions of strangers discussing your body, your family, your facial expressions. Add being idolized, sexualized, criticized, and commodified before your brain's even finished forming. It's not just overwhelming, it's disorienting. You stop being a person with thoughts and feelings and start being a product, a projection. Psych insight. Fame often leads to dehumanization. Even from the people who love you, you're no longer someone. You're something, an icon, a fantasy, a mirror for other people's identities. And that's the problem with being famous too young. You become everyone's projection, a collage of other people's opinions. You're seen constantly, but rarely known. Eventually, you stop asking, who am I? And start asking, who do they think I am today? Because when enough people treat you like a product, you start to feel like one. Depression in plain sight. Let's be clear, Billie's not just quirky sad. She wasn't making moody music for the aesthetic. She was actually depressed, like clinical, exhausted, possibly held together by oversized hoodies and one therapist text away from combusting. She once said, I didn't think I would make it to 17. The world responded like, Queen stays strong. Drop more sad bangers though? Are you okay? Plays her album while disassociating in traffic. Welcome to pop stardom in the internet age. Your pain becomes productivity. You're falling apart. But hey, the streams are up. Psych insight. That's what we call smiling depression. When you look like you're thriving, but internally you're a half-deflated balloon with Wi-Fi. Even her songs sound like emotional breakdowns wrapped in a lo-fi blanket. Take Everything I Wanted. It starts like a dream, and then drop kicks you into a metaphysical spiral. I got everything I wanted. Cue. Existential dread and a baseline that makes you rethink your entire childhood. This is how modern depression markets itself. Aesthetic melancholy, minor chords and major breakdowns, the feeling of crying in the shower. But make it chart. And the scariest part? Sometimes you do get everything you asked for, and it still feels hollow. That's not drama. That's dopamine dysregulation with a Grammy. So if this section made your soul sigh audibly, smash that like button like it's the system that profits off your sadness. Go ahead, punch it. Catharsis is free. Reinvention as Reclamation. Then one day, Billie popped out with platinum blonde hair, a corset, and the energy of someone who finally unblocked themselves. And the internet? Fully short-circuited. People called her a sellout, a traitor to the sad girl agenda. Someone even tweeted she used to be different. Different from what? A haunted hoodie? A Tumblr post with a pulse? Let's get something straight. For years, Billie dressed like a spooky anime SoundCloud DJ on purpose, because she didn't want to be sexualized. And when she finally chose to own her look, people lost their collective minds like she betrayed some secret society of baggy clothes and deep sighs. Psych insight. That's called a violation of autonomy. When people feel entitled to how you present yourself and act personally attacked when you exercise free will. Especially for women in the spotlight, the unspoken rules are wild. Be sexy, but not like on purpose. Be confident, but also humble, but also edgy, but also marketable. Glow up, but don't get too powerful. Evolve, but make sure I still recognize you from 2018. Billie's Vogue cover wasn't a betrayal. It was a declaration. This body, this image, this choice, it's mine now. And that wasn't a rebrand. That was a plot twist with agency. Because real power isn't about staying consistent for your fans. It's about choosing yourself, even if the internet gets whiplash. So, yeah, she's still Billie. Just now with better lighting and a middle finger that says no refunds. The perception loop. Here's the thing about internet fame. You stop being a person. You start being a projection. Fans project their insecurities. Critics project their values. Brands project their target demo. And you're left wondering if there's any you underneath it all. Billie has said, "I'm never allowed to be seen as just me." That's not drama. That's the panopticon effect. When you're constantly observed, or even believe you're being observed, your behavior changes. You start self-monitoring. You edit in real time. You become your own surveillance state. And on the internet, you're never not being watched. So you filter yourself. You speak in pre-cleared sound bites. You second-guess a shrug, a side-eye, a single uncurated breath. Because somewhere, someone is screen recording it for a TikTok theory thread. You go from "how do I feel" to "how will this be perceived by 19 demographic segments and a Reddit subforum?" The more people see you, the less you actually feel seen. That's not irony, that's algorithmic alienation. And it's exhausting. Dissociation, fame, and the female gaze. Now, let's crank the difficulty level. Mix in gender. Billie isn't just famous, she's famously female. And that comes with its own cursed, contradictory, constantly updating rulebook. You must be sexy but not slutty, confident but humble, edgy but relatable, perfect but authentic. It's like trying to win a video game where the rules change every 5 seconds and the final boss is public opinion. Even when Billie changed her look, blonde hair, corsets, the whole cinematic glow-up, people screamed, "industry plant," as if a teenager isn't allowed to evolve. This is what sociologists call the performative trap of the female gaze, where a woman isn't just seen, she's produced. Fashion, confidence, silence, mess, it's all up for debate. Because under the public gaze, everything becomes a performance, even existing. And if you've spent your adolescence being objectified, flattened, idolized, and dissected, of course you're going to try on different skins, not to hide who you are, but to figure out who you are when the noise finally drops. Trying out new clothes, new hair, new energy, that's not selling out. That's psychological adaptation. It might be the first time you felt safe enough to be seen on your own terms. Because fame doesn't just warp how others see you, it warps how you see you. And sometimes the only way to recognize yourself again is to change the costume and see what sticks. Rebuilding the self. In recent interviews, Billie seems more grounded, more, "this is who I am, take it or leave it." That's not just maturity. That's reintegration, pulling the fractured parts of yourself back together after years of disconnection. It doesn't happen overnight. It's messy. It's crying in the shower and then laughing at a meme 5 minutes later. But you feel it in her newer music. Songs like "My Future" sound like letters to herself. "I'm in love with my future, can't wait to meet her." That's growth. That's a nervous system learning to trust again. And that's what makes Billie more than a pop star. She's a mirror. We are all Billie, a little bit. Most of us aren't Grammy-winning icons. But we know what it's like to feel split, to smile on the outside while dissociating inside, to change and be punished for it, to ask, "Who am I when no one's watching?" Billie just lived it louder, under lights, on feeds, in headlines. But at her core, she's not an industry plant or a sad girl archetype. She's a young person navigating trauma, fame, and identity under impossible conditions. And maybe that's why she resonates, not because she's untouchable, but because she feels real, even when she doesn't feel real to herself. Next time someone says Billie Eilish is just a trend, remember? She built armor out of oversized hoodies. She turned dissociation into lyrics. She turned "Who am I" into an anthem. Drop your favorite Billie lyric in the comments. Smash that like button if you've ever changed and freaked people out. And hit subscribe if you're into ideas that stick, figures that sketch. Ready for your next system update? Tap here and keep playing smart.